Yo, what's going on, everybody? My name is Ronnie, aka Isaac. Welcome to Power FX. And today we're going to talk about something that I use in a lot of my trading: support and resistance. Now, this is going to be a beginner video. So if you're an advanced or intermediate, you can probably want to skip to another video. But we're going to try to do this for the newbies. So, welcome to Power FX. Let's get it. All right, awesome. Welcome again. So let's get straight to it. So, like I said, if you're advanced, intermediate, this is going to be for beginners. So you probably want to skip to another video. This is going to be for more of the newbies trying to get a foot in the door, right? So, like I said, this is something that I used a lot during my trading. FTMO, I used this during FTMO a lot. So that's how I was able to actually pass my challenge in my verification phase and also get multiple payouts with FTMO. But what is support and resistance, right? So support and resistance can pretty much be defined as areas in the market where price tends to bounce off multiple times, right? And you'll see this a lot of the times when you do your trading, right? So let's say if you have your zone, right? So you'll end up making the zone, okay? So price tends to trend up and down, right? So we all know that so far. So it makes higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. If you're going down trend, right, it'll see lower lows, lower highs, right? So let's say you have your zone, right? So this would be technically your floor, right? Or your ceiling, okay? So when you look at price will go up to the zone and it will bounce off, okay? It will try to go back up through the zone and it will bounce off, right? And it will either go back down to the downside or it could also possibly push through, which we'll talk about that in a minute, okay? Now, if you're on top here, let's say if you're above the zone, it will try to go through, bounce off, try to go through again, bounce off, and it will continuously do that until it decides to go through that zone, right? Okay. Now which side is support, which side is resistance, right? So support would be the top, right? Support would be up here. Now, why do we call this support? So support is because this zone is supporting price, right? Since price cannot push through, it's supporting price, right? So a good way to think about it is if you think about a building or a house, let's say you're standing on the floor, right? The floor is supporting your weight, right? Okay. So because the floor is supporting your weight, you cannot go through or you cannot fall through, right? Okay. So now if you look at the bottom, obviously this would be considered resistance, right? So this would be resistance. Okay. So now why is this called resistance? So this would be considered resistance because price will tend to try to go above the zone, right? And it will bounce off. It will try to go back above the zone and then will come back down, right? Another example, if you think of a ceiling, right? Let's say if you try to push through the ceiling, right? Your arms cannot push through that ceiling, right? Okay, so you have resistance. So resistance to the push going through that ceiling, right? So that's an easy way to kind of remember support and resistance, okay? Now, if you go to a chart, let's go ahead and take it to the chart. Let's go to GBP USD, right? All right, let's do that. All right, so if you look at this chart here, so one of the ways that you want to look for support and resistance you're going to find areas in the market again where price has bounced off multiple times. Okay, so the way that I tend to do it, I usually go by the wick or the body. So that's how I define, or I look for support and resistance. Okay, so this would be a good zone which you can look at in terms of support and resistance. So if you draw your zone here to here, right? Okay, so if you look at this zone here that we've created, you'll see that price has bounced off here, right? It's bounced off here, right? Right. It's also bounced off here. 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 As well as here. Okay, so these are areas in the market where price has tend to bounce off multiple times. Okay, all right. Now, and you can adjust your zone. Like, you don't necessarily have to do it exactly the same way. Some people do it from, wick to wick, body to body. It just really depends on the person, right? Okay. Now, and you can even make your zone smaller, actually. So like I said, I tend to go by, how many times it has stopped. Price has either stopped by wick wise or body wise, right? Okay. So now, if you remember the examples that we had earlier, where price bounces off, again, you see that price went up, right? And came back down, right? Price went up, tried to come back down, right? But then it went through and then shot up, all right? So at that point, once that has happened, price has now become support, right? So this would be resistance, this would be resistance, this would become support, 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 support. Price has broken through that zone and it is now resistance again, right? And we can also put our labels here to make it a little bit easier also. We'll put it over here. Okay, so then that way you can see it a little bit better. Okay. All right. Okay. So again, you see how price had tried to come through that zone, bounced off, tried to come through that zone a little bit, but we had some more momentum, so it actually shot through. Once that again happened, it created support right here, went through, support here, cannot go through that zone, right? Support here, and shot through the zone going to the downside, and then you have resistance there. Okay. So let's see if we can find another example. And you can actually find it all over the place, right? So here's another really good example. Very clear, right? So where this line is here, so you can create a zone there to there. Let's take this line off here. All right. Okay. All right. So you see here where support, where we have support here, we have resistance. It shot through that zone, created resistance. You see how it tries to get through, but it cannot, right? Multiple times it tries to get through, but it cannot. Took a little while for it to come back. It tried to come back through. and then it shot through here, right? And once it shoots through, what do we call that? Once it bounces back up, we call that support, right? So that would be support there. Okay. So again, you can find these, everywhere. Support and resistance can be found everywhere, right? Let's see if we can find one more example. Let's go to GJ. All right, let's go to GJ. All right. Let's find a good example. So, yeah, those were good examples, but I want to make it a little bit easier for you. All right. Okay. So you can see this, actually, this area here. So we'll use a line here. All right. We'll create our zone. All right. And we can do another video on zoning. But see here, look at price. Price went up to the zone, bounced off, right? Came back down, shot through, tried to get through that zone again, and that created support. Bounced off, tried to come back down, created support. Eventually was able to shoot through, created little forms of resistance, but still, it still shot through, came back up, and then you'll see that it created support here as well. Okay, so now it's not going to always be super clean. So as time goes on, you'll start to learn what it looks like, what price looks like, how big your zone needs to be, whether you want to use from the wick to the body, or whether you want to use wicks at all. So it just really will depend on how you decide to trade and what strategy you decide to use. But in a nutshell, that is support and resistance. Very simple, very easy strategy to use. And this is not going into anything like entries or entry signals or structures or other entry patterns, nothing like that. This is just simple support and resistance. But I hope it helped out a little bit to get you started and getting to know what the market looks like, so that way you can get your foot in the door. But if you like this video, please like, subscribe. We're going to definitely come out with some more videos in the future for both beginners, intermediates, advanced as well, FTMO, questions, all that good stuff. But again, this is Power FX. My name is Ronnie, aka Isaac. See you in the next video. Peace.